Hey guys, what's up? So we have a new update on Advanced Server and it's patch 1.6.24. First on our list is the nerf on the most banned hero, Paquito. They added more cooldown on his ultimate. That's plus 6 seconds in the early game and plus 3 at late game. Is this enough to put him out of the ban section? Next is the nerf on Jawhead's supporting ability. The developers added 3 more seconds of cooldown on his second skill in the early game. In exchange, they increased the damage of his ultimate by increasing its attack scaling. I think this nerf is not enough for tank Jawhead to disappear though. Next is the nerf on Natan. The base damage of his first skill is lowered by 35 points. It's a minor nerf considering how powerful this time-traveling marksman is. Next is another nerf on Xborg. Minus 100 points of base HP for this cyborg. His Firaga armor is also reduced, so if we compare the stats, this nerf made him lose 220 points of HP. Next is the nerf on Hayabusa. The developers think life is too easy for him with his new mobility, so they'll be slowing him down a bit. Longer cooldown on his second skill as well as his ultimate. That's plus 1 second on skill 2 and plus 10 seconds on ultimate. Next is the adjustment on Mathilda. Lower damage on her first skill and fewer mana requirement in the early game for her second skill. Higher damage on her ultimate wisps. Next is the nerf on the ultimates of Beatrix. Lower damage scaling on her sniper. Shotgun's base damage is lowered by 35 points in the early levels. Rocket launcher's base and scaling is lowered as well. Last is the slight nerf on her submachine gun with a minus 5 base damage. Next is the nerf on Phoveus' first skill. Lower base damage, but in exchange, they increased the damage to minions by 10%. They also lowered its mana requirement. Next is the nerf on Barats again. Lower base defense from 20 down to 15. They've been continuously nerfing his tankiness these past updates. Next is the buff on Kagura. Higher damage in the early game for her first skill. And lower mana cost for her second skill. Next is the buff on Odette. Her passive will now bounce on herself if there are no nearby enemies to bounce off from. This gives her damage on a 1 versus 1 situation. They also increase the flying speed of her second skill. Next is the buff on Gord. Higher base damage on his ultimate. That's plus 20 in the early game and plus 30 at late. Next is the buff on Magic Bane build. His first skill now has a slow effect that can be increased by magic power stats. This means the more you add magic power, the stronger the slow becomes. The heal on his second skill is adjusted, making it more dependent on magic power stats. Next is the buff on Gloo. Shorter cooldown on his second skill when reaching higher levels. It means it's easier to spam his combos. Next is the buff on Argus. Higher physical scaling on his enhanced basic attack. He's going to hurt more with that plus 40% attack scaling. Next is the buff on Bruno. Higher damage on his enhanced basic attack, but only in the higher levels. So same damage in the early game, but stronger at late. Next is the buff on Karrie. Lower mana cost on her first skill and her ultimate, and higher damage during her ultimate form. The lowered mana cost is going to help spam her skills in the early game. Next is the adjustment on Clint. His enhanced basic attack is now stronger in the early game, but there is a nerf when it comes to late game. Only the physical attack bonus can crit on his enhanced basic attack. This means his late game damage won't be as strong as before. Next is the fix on Granger's attack speed. They fixed the problem where he can't gain attack speed from emblems and items. But seriously, who builds attack speed on Granger? Next is the buff on Khaleed. Faster energy charging and stronger slow effect on his passive. Increase overall damage on his first skill, as well as faster spinning animation. Damage to minions is also increased as the skill is leveled up. To balance his buff, they had to nerf his ultimate damage. Overall, I think this is a pretty good update for Khaleed users. Next is the buff on Aulus. Shorter cooldown on his first kill. That's -1 second in the early game. Next is the nerf on Aamon. He's too powerful, so they had to lower the damage on his passive and skill 1. His ultimate now has longer cooldown but with more shards. Next is Valentina. The developers think she deserves more damage because of the limited range. Higher lifesteal on her passive and improved range and damage on her first kill. Last one is the adjustment on Mr.Krabs. The leash range is bigger and the region is slower, making it easier to kill the crab after a reset. So what can you say about the update? Are your main heroes affected? Let me know what you guys think in the comment section. That's all for this video. Stay safe and thank you for watching.